We're at a pivotal moment. The old ways are crumbling, and people everywhere are searching for a new path. Enter the NewEarth Tennessee Micronation, an audacious leap towards freedom, innovation, and holistic living nestled right in America's heartland. America's heartland is more than a location, it's a symbol of resilience and unity. Here we're forging a revolutionary way of life that honors nature and champions true sovereignty. For those ready to break free from the ordinary, welcome to the NewEarth Tennessee Micronation. This is your call to action. Picture this: a life of true freedom, surrounded by nature's splendor and a community of pioneers. NewEarth Tennessee Micronation is where sovereignty, sustainability, and community come alive. Our core features? The ReGenesis Health Center, groundbreaking organic agriculture, homes crafted with sacred designs and cutting-edge sustainable technologies. We're redefining self-sufficiency. We're not just building a community, we're honoring ancient wisdom. By integrating indigenous knowledge, we ensure a respectful and holistic approach to our foundation. Introducing Golden Tickets, your exclusive gateway to this transformative community. Only 1,000 tickets grant you a coveted spot among the trailblazers. Golden Ticket holders gain access to the Sovereignty Academy admission and course, expert-led personal journey to sovereignty in America, Canada, and Australia, soon to be expanded. New priority: residents experience a new way life in a harmonious, regenerative, sovereign jurisdiction. ReGenesis clinics access exclusive health and life-changing technologies, anti-aging and detoxification therapies. NewEarth Pharmacy products, first in line, access to innovative wellness items. Lazarus Initiative Gold membership, lifetime access, upgrade or gift. Exclusive opportunities: engage in business, tech, and personal ventures within our sovereign framework. Ready to join the revolution? Secure your place in the NewEarth Tennessee Micronation today. Visit NewEarthGoldenTicket.com to purchase your golden ticket and become part of a movement that's reshaping the future.
It occurred to me that the whole world is beginning to turn its back on the United States, and the whole world is beginning this predictive program of enmatizing the United States of America, because Middle America is the human genome, the epicenter of the human experiment, the human genome, which is to say the galactic genome. So you take down Middle America, the good people of Middle America, the devil succeeds. We're going to plant the NewEarth Micronation in the heartland of America. This is the time. The one thing I've learned in meeting thousands and thousands of people all around the world is that every single human being has a story, and your story, whoever you are, is an extraordinary story. And it's the telling of that story that becomes paramount now, because the whole transhumanist AI shutdown of our sovereignty, shutdown of civil liberties, and the attempt by this matrix mind, this Borg phenomenon, to surreptitiously creep into our lives and dial us into oblivion. That's definitely been the agenda in the last century. The world wars created the shock and awe in order to throw this planet psycho-civilizationally into a post-traumatic shock disorder, which is what we all essentially suffer, every single human on the surface of the earth, almost from the moment the umbilical is cut with surgical steel, are thrown into some kind of trauma or the other. And the net of trauma is that when we're in trauma, our tendency is to roll over and to look to be saved, to look to be rescued. And that moves on into school, wanting to be cradled, wanting to be received in life. And of course, we're then spat out, since the 1970s with the Rockefeller orchestrated women's lib movement, which was really designed to get mothers out of the house and to get kids off the mother's tit, and to get kids thrown into nursery schools so that the program could begin earlier, and to get mothers into the workplace so that there were 2 taxpayers in each household, no longer just one. So that was a clever Fabianist, Tavistockian agenda that played out and also contributes to our post-traumatic shock disorder. And now we see a world proliferating in two things. One, bureaucracy, and the other, pornography of trivia. Absolute trivia. Nothing real, nothing certain, nothing substantive or meaningful, nothing grounded guides most of us most of the time nowadays. So we're cast adrift between appetites and addictions. And that means pharmaceutical products. That means the glyphosates in the food supply, which your gut biome is addicted to, bad food and Coca-Cola. And our minds are addicted to doom scrolling on TikTok and social media platforms, or slumping in sofas and giving ourselves over to the pornography of trivia masquerading as the 8 o'clock news or Netflix or whatever the fuck is dreamt up by these bad dreamers conducting the great thrall over us. So what does that tell me? What does it tell you? What does it tell good, sovereign people? Well, those of us who have a spark left in us of sovereignty, those of us who have a spark left in us of outrage, reclamation of dignity, my dignity, becomes the first step, connected to the Sovereignty Academy, which is launching through the Golden Ticket. Reclamation of human dignity and the capacity to begin to engage life, engage relationship with people by smiling, tearing those goddamn masks off. And I don't just mean, the latter-day COVID masks. That was a delightful pantomime, but I'm talking about the masks that we wear as crypto-humans, humans who have been invited into becoming subhuman by this orchestration of insanity, of poisons in the air, the water, the food, the media, academia. The mask I'm talking about is the false mask, the crypto mask. When do we enjoin fellowship again with one another in our homes, starting in our homes with our families? When did we last look into the eyes of our family members? I mean, really look, really connect and exchange fire. And when did we last do it on our street with our neighbors and in the workplace? But I mean, really connect with each other, enjoin fellowship. That's the paramount thing, with one another, and then enjoin fellowship or rekindle relationship with the living soil and the creatures of the soil. How do we, as a species, a crypto-human species who have been utterly desecrated and downgraded and poisoned almost into oblivion, how do we reclaim, restore, revivify? How do we take back our lives? How do we step into the immanent angelic template, which all good believers of all good faiths know exactly what I'm talking about? That's this piece here. That's what this Golden Ticket is all about. It's about how we reclaim the living soil, how we step away from Sodom and Gomorrah, how we step away from the kingdom of the devil and the checkerboard of the kingdom of the devil. And the metric in how we do it is pretty straightforward. Like I said, it's relationship with one another, and then a return to relationship with the living soil. So you've got Vatican City, Basel, Switzerland, the Crown of England, which is the City of London, essentially, and then you've got Washington, District of Columbia. Those are your four principalities, friends. They are privately owned corporations, principalities with stakeholders, believe it or not. But the way in which they were founded and premised is very, very clever, because they essentially surreptitiously took control over the dominion of all peoples of the earth and all the soil of the earth. So every single square inch of soil, of land, which is registered to anything other than itself, is registered, offered up to Regus the King, handed over, signed over to the crown. In this case, that would be England, Charles in England. But it goes back, as I said, to the Vatican. So this is part of the enigmatic fact of the status quo, that everything that you think you own, you do not own. You do not own your farm or your tractor or your combine harvester. You do not own your bicycle if you registered it. You do not own your vehicle. You do not own your home. And friends, lean in close for this one. You do not own your own flesh and bones, because that too has been handed over to Cronus, to the crown. Remember birth certificates and the forms that you filled for your children, handing them over to the state? Why do you think CPS, or whatever they call themselves, can hammer your door down and steal your children? And by best accounts, hurl them into trafficking for all you know, and prostitution. God knows that's been going on for decades. It's because you signed the forms. You filled out the forms with the block black capital letters. So friends, we're about to teach you the metric of how we as a community are now about to begin that process. We're going to do it openly with love. We're going to be doing it as an act of peace, not as an act of war. That's something which will come as a novel surprise to Washington, doubtless. I will say this much. I have had it directly from military and intelligence personnel connected to the most powerful agencies that we are indeed on the cusp of a paradigmatic shift. The axis of power is shifting away from the private, nefarious corporations, and it is moving back to the people. This is the right time to be striking out, to declare a sovereign micronation in the heartland of United States. Why the heartland of America? Because America is the cauldron of humanity. It is all faiths, all cultures, all creeds, all peoples of the world are epitomized and exemplified even in America. And America, being the cauldron of the human genome, so to speak, is the genome of the universe, of the galaxy. The soft disclosure that's begun last couple of years connected to the Pentagon files and what have you, which are now dialing up on social media. You can begin to see this, and even in mainstream media, the talk about UFOs and Roswell, and yes, indeed, well, they've been visiting us for, blah, blah, blah. Well, every sane farmer with a pitchfork and every sane patriot with a gun in their right hand and a Bible in their left knows full well about the ETs and the UFOs, and good humans don't have a problem with that. We're all sensible enough to know that we are part of a galactic expression under God's eternal sky. But no more of the control, no more of the dominion, no more of the hegemony, friends. We're going to end that with this extraordinarily noble and pioneering prospect that is the establishment of the first full-fledged micronation in the heartland of America. And yes, we're inviting 1,000 men and women of the living soil to join us as pioneers and to contribute into this. This is how we do it. How do we begin the process of atonement for stolen lands and for genociding peoples, retaking the soil for the indigenous peoples from whom it was taken 500 years ago, 300 years ago, handing it to them as the act of atonement, them absolving the crimes of our forefathers and ancestors, and then handing it back to us, to the 1,000 founders of the Tennessee Project. So the 1,000 founders will be the ones who are conducting the act of atonement on behalf of humanity. Sky, I want to bring you in the importance of atonement.
Yeah, thank you, Sacha. Well, you speak so eloquently to it. Yeah, it's such an important moment for history. I think the crux point for us was watching our indigenous elder, Sam Capilano, be put on the ventilator and have the remdesivir treatment and essentially be waterboarded. It was when we realized the depth of how distorted the system had been as far as health and wellness, and the absolute attack on our most precious resources, which is the people, the indigenous people particularly, and all people that have this united heart to see us rise in this time. For us, the mission is clear. It's to liberate humanity, to create a coherent, clear light path for people to awaken, to reconnect back to their truest, most authentic self. And we're here to do that with you. It's the only mission. We're really excited to be a part of bringing health sovereignty to a global audience, and really truly God's given right to have access to these treatments, these therapies. The first phase 1 clinic will be in Bacalar. We were looking to be operational in the new year, but in Tennessee, as fast as we can get there on the ground, we want to be able to support and help people as quickly as possible.
The other reason why I'm in South Africa is to advance the relationships with the breakthrough technologies that can drastically or radically heal humanity. So it is a priority for us, but turning the key on that build in Tennessee, the very first thing that gets built will be the clinic and the spa. It'll be a visitor center.
We've been treating people with advanced cancers and other pathologies, Lyme's and a lot of vaccine injury, these types of things. And our programs here are fairly expensive for people to access. So we really wanted to create a way that we could create the most amount of access to these programs, to these protocols. And so we have been hard working on a platform to be able to guide people through these processes at home. We have our first kit that's coming out, and we have 3 other kits lined up, which are really about cleansing the elimination pathways. The body is really a series of filtration systems. These filtration systems are plugged and become very toxic in the environment. It really it's amazing that we're all still living through this time with what we're seeing in the live blood analysis and what people are dealing with. But we know how to cleanse these pathways, how to clean the river of light, how to get rid of these parasitic organisms that are really the root cause of all disease, and which are living in these environments. We're seeing it here in the lab. It's incredible watching people come back into coherence, reignite that flame of passion and purpose, which we know is related to longevity, and looking forward, seeing with these new technologies coming that we're implementing and bringing into the ReGenesis centers, these bioresonant frequency technology, light, sound frequency, incredible diagnostics with precision medicine, genomics, stem cells. The first kit we're looking to have available sometime early in November, with platform launched, where we can walk people through these processes, cleansing these filtration systems in the body and finding true health again.
The introductory work that is coming is the Wisdom's Calling, Blessings of Liberty, where we look deeply into the shroud of war powers. How was that laid? We'll have lots of evidence for where it was laid in the U.S. and where it was legislated in Canada and where it is in Australia and all of those Commonwealth nations. And when we see how it was and how it's designed, and we begin to see how that design is planted in our thinking and our habits and our speaking, then we begin to have a new awareness for what we can bring into the world. We can start looking at how, with that overlay, can we rise above that? So the Blessings of Liberty is the entree. It's not just the land.
Tennessee is divided into 3 regions, and we are focused on east of Knoxville and east of Chattanooga, if you were to look at the map. And there's several reasons for this. It's climate, it's topography, the geography, one of the largest, I think second largest underground freshwater lakes in the world, the crystals that reside there, the minerals, and the energy of the Appalachian mountain range, which goes back billions of years and includes multiple of the tectonic plates and continents merging the DNA from this planet in that region. So the topography is amazing, and that is generally the region to be announced soon where we plant our Rainbow Tribe flag.
And I also understand that Tennessee has strictly forbidden geoengineering moving forward, which is a very good indicator. Again, another good reason why Tennessee is on the on our radar. There's a question here saying, is the ITNJ applicable globally, the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, and where is it situated within the Tennessee Project? Yes, indeed, we are beginning now to consolidate the position of the International Tribunal for Natural Justice, finding its first bricks and mortar court, so to speak, or theater, if you prefer, in Tennessee. So we do intend to headquarter the International Tribunal for Natural Justice and its sister organization, which is being set up right now, the World Hereditary Council, the WHC. But America right now is the priority. We've got to pierce the corporate veil there, and that's because Washington District of Columbia, really in the last 4 years, it's been a hollow vessel. We're dealing with something which is not really there. It's just not. We're living in a satanic theater, which has hitherto been controlled by satanic icons, interposed into the theater of Washington, D.C., and that the tax fleecing of billions, nay, trillions of dollars of tax coin over generations has been sequestered into the basement, which is shared between the City of London, the Vatican, and Washington, D.C., with Switzerland acting as arbiter in that sense, or as the clearinghouse. But the point being that those trillions of dollars have been pumped into black operations budgets, into amping up a deep state, the weaponization of the entirety of this earth through threat, coercion, and manipulation. But the threat is the baton, is the taser, is the gun, is the nuclear missile, and the tanks. And it's always been thus, or certainly in the last century. So that's the role that Washington District of Columbia has played, establishing a hegemony through the thrall of fear over the whole of humanity, and butchering scores and scores and scores of countries all around the world in the last century. So that has been not attributable to the good people of America, but to Washington District of Columbia, quite separate to the people of America. We're not speaking to the FDA. We're not speaking to the IRS. We're not speaking to Washington, D.C. Those are in dishonor. They are dishonorable. They are hollow vessels. We speak to the living. Marcia, have I got some of that right?
Oh, you've got it right on the nose. They're empty. They're empty in our world of reality, and we're bringing Lazarus to life. We're raising our spiritual competency.
The world's first full-fledged, full-spectrum, auto-determining micronation. It is complex. It's to do with jurisdictions. It's to do with understanding legality and understanding lawfulness. More than that, it's understanding your own standing in this world. You and I, sons and daughters of God, living men and women of the living soil. Why you and I elected to compose ourselves in this hologram, why you and I elected to steer the plasma of our souls into this insane vector of time-space. It was not to take the fucking knee, excuse my French. It was not to pay tithes to the Roman Catholic Church. It was not to pay coin or render anything unto Caesar, simply because Caesar says it belongs to Caesar. This is the age, friends, when you and I and our kin, our communities reclaim the living soil, reclaim relationship with the living soil, which is to say the paramagnetic forces of Tara, of Earth, of this Gaia, this extraordinary plane of existence that we live upon. How you and I utilize this sacred temple of the human flesh, the human body, to reconvene relationship with the divine, which is to say, relationship with ourselves, which is to say, relationship with our conscience and our consciousness in action. To those of you who followed my wheezing over the years, you'll know I take this subject very seriously, and I know that millions and millions and millions of you do too, which is why, by the grace of the eternal God, we're all standing still, looking one to another and exchanging fire in the eyes, because we were born to do this and to be this in the now, the sacred geometry of the living moment. So this is the culmination of a great many years of my own efforts. 10 odd years ago, 11 years ago, 2013, we launched the NewEarth project. We've built and proven out the metric of the elevation of art, beauty, and consciousness in our petri dish in Bali at the NewEarth Haven.
Just a little deeper, fall just a little deeper. Hold your breath, want to keep breaststroke. Till the end, jump with your reckless, hold your breath, you're reckless, breaststroke, you're reckless, till the end, till the end.
We're now in the process of groundbreaking in the NewEarth Sanctuary in Mexico. Many of our founding pioneers are amongst the team here. It's something which is underway. Since we began the process of the NewEarth Sanctuary and began to explore the conversation with people all around the world, and as I personally, as that intro piece says, as I looked to Middle America and started to see how America is becoming enmatized by the world, how the international community is being orchestrated, not entirely, but in the main, by Sabbatean, Luciferian forces that operate through academia, operate through the institutions of power and of military and intelligence might. All of this cacophony and orchestration seeks to enmatize America and to turn America into the fall guy. Precisely, it would appear, in order to bring about catastrophic failure of humanity. Because if America fails, humanity fails. I will also make a distinction here at the beginning of this summit. To those of you who are conscious enough to understand what I'm saying, you won't even need to hear me say it. To those of you who are not conscious enough, lean in, pay close attention. Middle America is not Washington, D.C., okay? 90%, 85, 90% by my reckoning, of Americans are not the East and West Coast liberal, intellectual, satanic, luciferic enterprise. And Middle America are not Washington, D.C. or the Pentagon, the CIA, and all the other alphabet agencies which have done a thoroughly decent job of invoking the kingdom of the devil into America in the last 75 years, to be sure, but it goes back longer than that. Here we are, you and I, about to enjoin a new covenant, which is to plant the New Earth Nation flag in the heartland of Middle America. That is a sacred task, and it is a sacred covenant, because we're about to reclaim the living soil. We can only do it as a body of living men and women of the living soil, as a fellowship of men and women of the land. The age that besets us right now could be described as the onset of the flight from Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. Be sure, the tanking, orchestrated collapse of the US dollar, the emergence of these other primary portals of economic enterprise like BRICS, are part of an orchestration, for good or for ill. I'm not here to judge them. But I will say that the takedown of the US dollar is integral to the collapse of humanity, in much the same way that the hacking into the mRNA DNA of humanity was intended to bring about auto-destruct of the angelic humans. Because that is really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the takedown of the angelics. And that's what this hacking into our blood and our genomes has been about. I'm satisfied that millions and millions and millions of you sufficiently know the truth of this. We can speak boldly to the truth of this now. 5 years ago, I was a madman. 10 years ago, I was a madman. 15 years ago, I was a madman. Truthers and disclosure merchants have long been vaunted as madmen. And that's fine. But we also know that those of us who played the joker in the pack, so to speak, and I'm sure great many of you and your families and your communities have also fulfilled that divine function of being the joker in the pack. But we were right, and we're proving right now. The mainstream is collapsing. We are very, very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with Hereditary Chief Phil Lane Jr., regarded commonly as the eagle in the eagle and condor prophecy, which means to say he is paramount representative in that sense of all of the Native American First Nations in Canada and USA. And that is to say over 740 First Nations are represented under the banner of the eagle. I was with him a few weeks ago at the Palenque Congress, where the eagle and the condor met from the Amazon, and the hummingbird and the quetzal came together. Pay close attention to his words.
Mitakeapi, my very, very beloved members of our human family, I want to extend a very warm and loving handshake to each and every one of you as we celebrate this great day of the New Earth, Tennessee Micronations unfolding, a reflection of the sacred prophecies that said a new global civilization would emerge at this time, which it is. And this is one of the signs of many across Mother Earth that this is happening. So in honor of this great, great historic occasion, I'd like to offer a prayer as well as our chief White Buffalo Calf Woman song. This song says this, in which we have to have when we go forward. Friend, kola lechale chua, it says, friend, do it this way. Whatever you do in life, do the best you can. If you get knocked down, get up. If you get knocked down 1,000 times, get up 1,000 times. If you do it that way, the creator of all good things is going to see you. Otun Kashla Wakanta, creator of the universe, most beloved one, all powerful one. We call upon your holy powers at this time to bless this New Earth, Tennessee Micronation, and all the relatives who are going to work together in unity and harmony to begin truly manifesting a new Earth. We call all the tribes and nations of the East, from where comes the red sunrise, to come together in unity and harmony. In the South, from where comes new life, we call them together in unity and harmony. In the West, from where comes thunder, lightning, and rain, we call upon them to come together in unity and harmony. And in the north, from where comes the cleansing white snow, we call them to come together in unity and harmony. And we give thanksgiving to Father Sky and Mother Earth, and also the sacredness that Mother Earth reflects in womankind. And may we fully understand the wings of the eagle, the condor, the hummingbird, the quetzal are two. One is man and one is woman. Until both wings of the eagle, the condor, and the hummingbird and the quetzal have equal power and respect, our human family will not rise and fly to its promised sacred destiny. And so now I want to share this sacred song in honor of this time. Again, the words say this: Kola lechele luchuo. Friend, do it this way. Whatever you do in life, you do the best you can. You get knocked down, get up. You get knocked down 1,000 times, get up 1,000 times. Then the Creator's going to see you. Then it says, if you do it that way, whatever you ask for, that's exactly the way it's going to be if we sit in the circle in a sacred manner. That's the covenant. We sit together in a sacred circle with responsibility. Then whatever we ask for, that's exactly the way it's going to be, and we have to proceed like that. Koale chele chuo, koale chele chuo, koale chele chuo, koale chele chuo. Hey chanuki, takuya chinkuye che tukdeo. Ho chokawaji, yuo takeki, hetsuyo pakie. Oh, they chanuki, takuya chinkuye che tukdeo. So Bitakiepi, I give you my love. I give you a big hug, for we are one human family. We are all indigenous people of this Mother Earth, and you must awaken to the fact that each of us is born a sovereignty, ancient, imperishable, and everlasting, and treat each other as that, not as our earth suits, not our skin color, not our gender. For the soul has no gender. The soul has no race. The soul has no class. The soul has no ethnicity. The soul is a reflection of the oneness of the Creator. Hallowed be Chante Washtelo, Shuk Mano Hemedo, Chidupasapa Hemedo, Hallowed be Chante Washte. My names are Shuk Mano and Chidupasapa, and I stand fully responsible before the Creator for my words and my actions. Hallowed be Chante Washte.
I remain fully responsible for my words and for my actions, and I think that essentially becomes the cornerstone to this noble endeavor, where we begin to enjoin fellowship and lay claim to the soil, and claim health sovereignty, look to ourselves, look to our kin, look to our communities to define the world that we want to live in, and no longer look to the third-party intervention. Government has no place in the kingdom of heaven. None whatsoever. None. The Catholic Church is moot. All monotheistic, religious, churchish institutions that have moved away from the mystical roots and traditions of those great faiths have no further business in holding thrall over humanity. The resurrection of the ancestral blood song has becoming increasingly a vital component of how we convene a new fellowship and how we reconstitute any kind of a nation. The next nation that is constituted in this world must be non-divisive, non-sectarian. It must be the nation of the rainbow warrior, or the rainbow warrior nation.
This is a ancient prophecy that really is being fulfilled in this moment. The ceremonies that have happened, the ones you're at in Palenque, the lighting of the 8th fire, this is the culmination of all the ceremonies that have been guiding the indigenous people through this dark winter that they knew would have a sunrise, and they believed that now the 8th fire begins that process of coming together as this rainbow nation to create this new earth paradigm. The words of Chief Phil guide us in that.
Ancient texts and prophecies like the Eagle Condor prophecy have foretold this golden age of humanity that we are awakening to.
There are only 1,000 golden tickets being made available. There will be 1,000 golden tickets at the price point of 10,000 USD per ticket. We've had scouts on the land in Tennessee, tax-free residential status that will be contingent on the full realization of the allodial titling and the clearance of federal liens against the land. It's a residential micronation, obviously. We're looking for people to come and purpose their lives. Once you've made an acquisition of a golden ticket, there's a period of 3 years that you have to locate into the nation. There is no secret that there's a concerted effort to collapse the US, collapse the United States of America, and of course the collapse of the US dollar is underway. This is the perfect time to come to the rescue in that sense, and to send the cavalry in. And who or what is the cavalry? Well, obviously that's you and I. It's moms and pops. It's conscious parents, grandparents. It is young people seized with consciousness and the desire to put consciousness into action. Marsha will explain lawful and legal standing and how that works. Sovereign jurisdiction is where and how you declare it under the universal sky, standing directly beneath central sun, as each of us are born sons and daughters of God. All of us can lay claim to that jurisdiction of pure sovereignty and wave out of our way the kingdom of the devil. And point of fact, we're required to do that now. A 0-point economic base and a 0-point social ecological base is integral to manifesting a micronation that is fully sovereign. Why do I say that? Because you could pretend it's sovereignty, but if you have an umbilical cord connecting you to the kingdom of the devil, which is an electrical utility line, for instance, or any benefits and services, amenities on offer by the parent corporation, by the government, so to speak. If you are tethered to the government through that umbilical, and your food production, your agriculture, your sanitation, your electricity, your heating and your lighting, if those are contingent and dependent on that umbilical cord to the kingdom of the devil, then you are not sovereign and you are not free. You are indentured. Okay? So 0-point technology becomes integral here. Breakthrough vanguard quantum solutions become integral here. I've got my friend and partner, Bruno Mihalescu, here with me. I'm going to bring him in right now.
Thank you very much. It's a blessing to be here with you, Sacha, and the team and the world. It's a great mission, what we are putting together for humanity, and I'm so blessed to serve.
We are building now prototypes. We are able to power up very significant electric output. Do you want to speak a little bit to what it is we're doing without giving too much away? Just tell us what you can.
It's just a generator. It's a normal generator, electric, and it's made by the NewEarth, and it's working. So a free energy device. That's
very
fine.
good. Okay, that's it. Don't say anything more because you get yourself into trouble. To those of you who know my backstory, 12 years ago, I was Director General in the United Nations Intergovernmental Sector. I was the Director General for the renewable energy sector and dealing with breakthrough innovation. And at that time, Dr. David Martin and I were doing our best, working together with the Exemplar Zero Initiative to break the icebreaker, to bring quantum solutions into the playground. We didn't succeed. We nearly did. I know a lot about this game. I know why we've not been able to power up communities with free energy technology and 0-point. We've had these technologies for generations. That's the least of the issues. I've witnessed so many of them. I've tried on a couple of occasions with the NewEarth to bring them forward. I am feeling fiercely confident that this is the right time. I happen to know that it is the right time. I'm sufficiently notified by good people within the military intelligence basement, shall we say, that this is the appropriate time. We've been developing for the last couple of years our own technology solutions in Eastern Europe. And we've got them working now to bring them into the market, to plug them into our micronation, which becomes the first of many micronations as we franchise or syndicate these micronations around the world, certainly after Tennessee, through the United States, all states, and then to the world at large. This is going to take a while. It's going to be a process. But we can and will implement those technologies. Why? Because we don't need to be seeking or soliciting permission from the parent corporation once we've established the legal and lawful sovereign jurisdiction. That's why the law piece comes first and then the technology comes in. But we can do it, and we will be flashing the kimono in the next few weeks on the technologies. So the zero-point economy will be sustained and derive off the proprietary technologies which we already have in-house. Now, we're not going head-to-head with any governments or any so-called authorities. We will do this lawfully and legally. And as Marsha reminds me and us at every turn, everything we do is an act of peace. We're designing sanctuaries within sanctuaries. We have butterfly and insect sanctuary, couples with a bird sanctuary. The bigger circle beyond that will be the wildlife preserves. And we'll unveil that master plan probably within 6 weeks thereabout. And that'll be revealed to our Golden Ticket members. So once you have bought in and you are a founding pioneer, you are going to be invited to participate in our summits, meeting different members of the team. Honey farm, beekeeping, integral, obviously, to this in NewEarth, Tennessee. Honey is going to be a mainstay of how we set in motion biodiversity and syntropic agroforestry. Desperately important science, this I won't go into it here, but syntropic agriculture, vital. Vertical greenhousing, this is where it gets exciting. Hitherto, it has been impossible to really make vertical greenhousing a success. And why is that? It's because it's cost prohibitive. To run greenhousing, vertical greenhousing is very, very heavy on energy, electrical consumption, or whatever your power source is. Now that we have our own energy technologies that once they insert and installed into our zero-point microgrid, we will be powering up our vertical greenhouses on close to 0 point. And that means that we can grow Madagascan apricots in Tennessee. We will never need to import any bullshit from around the world, no matter how exotic or luxurious it is. We've got to get on with fabricating, with engineering, designing, and manifesting ourselves.
The magic of this is, Sacha's, we've been working for quite some time in Bacalar, Mexico, in Quintana Roo, and a lot of these ideas and concepts that we've been talking about and that Sacha's sharing here, we are on the verge of implementing now there. So it's very exciting to see this rolling out. It's very exciting. We have these beautiful concepts and technologies, but we're actually going to be able to test them and try them and implement them and adjust in real life for people to come and see and visit and experience while we're doing the same in Tennessee. So it's very exciting.
So vertical greenhousing integral to the prosperity model, and where you don't diminish the quality of an indulgent and even luxurious lifestyle. Quite the contrary. Quite the contrary. As we've been proving out with the NewEarth Haven in Indonesia, in Bali, over the last few years, the elevation of art, beauty, and consciousness is a cornerstone to how human beings want to step into a new earth horizon. Nobody. you remove the Catholic Church, which is to say the priest banker, which is to say the profiteers and racketeers from the mix, all of a sudden you have a prosperity economy. And that's precisely how we do it and how we intend to manifest this moving forward. New Earth bioarchitecture, again, for those of you who know anything about our work, you know that we've led the world in many regards in this, and we're proving that out now on the ground in Mexico. We've done a great deal of that work in Bali, in Indonesia, and Tennessee will be the spectacular template for the world as a micronation, employing bioarchitecture and bioresonance at the heart of our initiative. one of the first turnkey things we will be doing in the Tennessee Micronation to facilitate those of you who are in business and commerce and need to manufacture or engineer, fabricate. NewEarth Tennessee will facilitate our first AGN radio and TV station. I think Dr. Nancy Ash is delighted that we'll be broadcasting coursework from the NewEarth University. Of course, we will be building a NewEarth University campus. We're doing one in Mexico on Laguna Bacalar, and we're twinning it with Tennessee. And so student bodies will be able to bounce between the two locations. We'll also be broadcasting Lazarus and what have you from the studio in Tennessee when I'm based out there. Ceremonial ground. This will be the very first thing we break ground on in Tennessee. Chief Phil Lane Jr. and other First Nation elders and leaders and wisdom keepers will be joining us. First day of spring, or it'll be the spring equinox. That is what we're designating right now as the proclamation of the NewEarth Micronation in Tennessee. That's the intention, and the divinations will have been done on the land, and the consecration will occur on that day. And we have cultural and religious and spiritual leaders and elders who are coming in to stand shoulder to shoulder with us on that day. And some of the indigenous elders who are coming in to do the consecration of the new earth, because they understand that this is the genesis point of the Rainbow Nation. That once we pierce the corporate veil, with 1 square inch of soil, sacred soil in the Americas, once that corporate veil is pierced, that is the onset of the resurrection of the angelic human. It's the return of the living sons and daughters of God, the living men and women of the living soil, to the living soil. And everything changes at that point. The wisdom keepers, the elders, and the hereditary chiefs understand what we're doing. And the World Hereditary Council will be finding its home base in Tennessee, in the middle of America. Because the Rainbow Tribe is, by distinction, the black skin, brown skin, red skin, yellow skin, and white skin peoples of the world, all reconvening under a covenant of fellowship of man. These are, to me, the most important element that we're building in Mexico, and also we'll be building in Tennessee, which is small havens in the heart of these micronations, which engender the conscious birthing and the conscious dying. Some beautiful images by Giselle Coy. We have an architectural design team that will build the most exquisite places you can imagine. Livestock and seed banking will be an integral turnkey part of the Tennessee project. This is, friends, a return to the living soil. And that is our disclaimer, which is important because we're still operating somewhat in the kingdom of the devil, and powers that be, or powers that were, certainly do not wish for us to succeed. Not that we should pay too much attention to those voices or those hearts. They are frankly moot as far as I'm concerned. Marcia, it's just you and me, and we're going to speak now about jurisdiction.
Everything really is a trust. It's a sacred trust that we come and that we bring here. And we, through life and through the superimposition of what you call the witchery, the language. We are actually speaking a language. English is a language of commerce. English is a spell casting language. So we're casting spells. And so over the real relationship that we have with Mother Earth, there have been all of these entanglements. There's been feudal entanglements and security entanglements. And there's this kind of cocoon that has been spun around not only the earth but ourselves. And so what we do is we set aside in a private contractual relationship, in commerce, the contract is the law. So when we have a private contract, we have a private trust that is holding the integrity of our relationship with not only each other, but with the world at large. We have an opportunity to be those divine trustees, those divine stewards that bring this into manifestation. And while we tend to look at things from the corporate perspective, from that what you call the parent corporation, we're really not defined as a 508. We're seen through the Internal Revenue Service in 508 capacity, because as the spiritual expression that we are, the Internal Revenue Service recognizes that church spiritual controlled organizations are immune. They're exempt. They're not exempt. Exempt is a privilege. They're excluded from the perspective. Especially in the United States, we have the First Amendment that says that Congress can make no law concerning an establishment of religion or the free exercise thereof. So when we come in our spiritual capacity, which is what I'm very excited to bring through the Sovereign Academy, a whole level of understanding who we are in that sovereign capacity. How do we look in and bring that sacred capacity? And then what is our relationship and our standing with the world from that sovereign capacity? The first job in Tennessee is to extricate the land from those attachments, from the feudal attachments, from the security attachments, and go back into the place where the real ownership was granted originally, and basically from conquest, from the war powers. I find in the preliminary information in Tennessee, the grants were to the soldiers who they couldn't pay for succeeding in the war. And so we go back to those original grants, and those grants say we're giving full ownership of this land forever. After that, those became very dormant, and all these economic and jurisdictional attachments began to attach over the land. So we extricate that, and you actually can experience a process of extricating those feudal attachments and those economic attachments honorably in such a way that we regain our relationship with ownership. And then after we have cleared that, we go back to the sacred stewardship that Chief Phil and that perspective brings, going back to those dormant agreements for us to maintain our relationship with the land. Go back to the 451 AD, the 6 global treaties that maintain those agreements and bring those and claim those forward. And even before that, our true relationship with Mother Earth, and a whole process of clearing our path for that.
Are we seeking permission in this along this path?
There's no part of it that's seeking permission. We'll find it when in the first entree into the sacred honor, and bringing forward our sacred honor and our sacred capacity. Remember, capacity is who we are. It's that spiritual being that is here having a physical experience. And so when we go in through the entree into the Sovereignty Academy, we're bringing what I refer to as wisdom's calling, the blessings of liberty, where we begin to look deeply into our capacity, and through that raise through and walk through the treaty treaties that recognize that capacity, so that we're now fully developing that spirit, that soul capacity, and then looking to see what is our standing, what is our relationship with the world when we first establish ourselves as that capacity.
Very good. So speak about national passport status within the New Earth Micronation, for instance, or identification. And secondly, we'll talk about Be the Bank, how we claim the banking.
Again, national passport status is a status. It's a relationship. How are we related to the world? In every culture, we have a status and how we're related. We have passports. And in certain ways, we have defined ourselves. By our application, we have entered into whatever relationship we're seeing in the standing in our relationship with the world. So how do we modify that relationship with the world so we're seen as those sovereign beings? When you know the way that governments, the way that public trust is designed, it's designed to contain those people who do not live spiritual lives, who do not live honorable lives, to contain those, so those people who do live spiritual lives are seen and act unencumbered by the defects of the what did you call it, the witchery. We break the spell that witchery has over our thinking and our speaking. I mean, when we speak even war and peace, when we get to in the blessings of liberty, is we begin to see that 0 point neutrality that is the whole breakthrough of the dichotomy.
Be the bank. What does that mean?
You are the bank, you are the gold. All this, you know, we look at gold, we look at the assets, we look at the land, we look at all those things, but I will tell you, nothing in this physical domain happens without your energy. Your energy is the gold. You are the energy behind any economic venture. And so in the outline that I've got for the whole curriculum, it's not just a course into the Sovereign Academy. It is a whole curriculum, not only of discovering, going deeply in yourself, and even looking at your speaking. Are you speaking those war powers that we've been designed? We've been designed through a very careful formula to bring war powers into the world through our speaking, through our thinking, through our divisiveness. And when we realize that and we look deeply, 10 weeks of the blessings of liberty, the biggest part of it is observe yourself in the process. How are you speaking? A lot of people over the years have really admonished me because they say, oh, we're just bantering semantics. But I am not bantering semantics. I am changing the spell that's being cast in the world.
Exactly right. And that's the seminal piece. Law of nations. What is that? Why is it important to have some comprehension of law of nations? And where does it take us? Do we have to treaty with the world at large once we establish ourselves as a fully allodial titled micronation?
We can, and treaties can actually be engaged between locations for the new Earth. And what we do is, when we understand who we are in that sacred capacity, and we come forward in that sacred capacity, we're protected under the Law of Nations. Book 4 of the Law of Nations is all about the protection of public ministers and the right, and even the Army Field Manual 2710 is about the military protecting our free passage through occupied territory. And when we understand that all of us have lived all of our lives, I don't care where you're on the planet. Well, I've seen now some places that haven't been infringed by being in occupied territory, but few places on the planet are not living in occupied territory. But when you become that sacred entity that's protected for free passage through occupied territory, you change your standing with the whole world.
Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Well, I think, Marsha, that's a pretty fine introduction to this piece. I know that the Sovereignty Law Academy that we launch in October this year, that's the plan, 1st of October. I know it's going to be oversubscribed. You're going to play the seminal role in that. You mentioned when we first met about the corporation soul, and that's something that you're going to be speaking to, I believe, in the coursework. Can you, just before we wind this section up, just speak about that? What is a corporation soul?
A corporation soul is a religious organization. It's a structure for expressing yourself in the world in your sacred capacity, and it is based on motivated to bring your soul essence into expression in the world. It's a way of looking at yourself and be seen in the world as a religious expression.
This is really the intersect and the dovetailing of the fulmination of all of our life's work. I mean, it's all a singularity, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've just merely touched on the outline that I have, because I've got different classifications. And this is really the self-discovery we've talked about. And then I've talked about self-mastery. Now, how, once we've discovered ourselves, how do we master that and take it out into the world? And then how are we competent in this? This is not a collapse. It's a transition.
Yeah,
it is an expression of our souls coming fully into fruition.
You guys have such an incredible superdimensional grasp of and hyperdimensional grasp of the physics of healing, the physics of treating, healing, and curing. Now, you're not allowed to use those words. The C word is a dirty word. You thought it was. It's not. It's cure, friends. That's the dirty word.
ReGenesis means to rebirth. It means renewal. And so ReGenesis represents the rise of the phoenix from the ashes. It's the birthing of a new paradigm of health sovereignty, healing, and the resurrection of our original angelic template, as you speak to so eloquently.
And we're going to be folding into these ReGenesis centers the very, very best technologies in the world, which we have access to and which we are variously partnered in. The most advanced microbiology. We will have our sovereign jurisdiction where we will be able to manufacture our own products.
At NewEarth Pharmacy, we firmly believe in the transformative power of naturally organic innovation to positively impact lives. We're pioneering a movement that empowers individuals to take control of their well-being. NewEarth Spike and NewEarth Spike Turbo uses egg protein technology to support the body's ability to defend against symptoms related to spike protein exposure. The NewEarth Pharmacy is pleased to present the NewEarth Spike and NewEarth Spike Turbo. Together, we are igniting a revolution. Welcome to a new era of wellness. Welcome to NewEarth Pharmacy.
There's been this onslaught, this sort of attack on the human, through air, water, and our food and our medicine, to really disconnect us from the sacred, disconnect us from that the sovereign right of health and wellness. And we really found that all pathology is from a lack of flow of the river of light. It's about giving people a very clear step-by-step process, integrating these ancient practices with these cutting-edge technologies to revolutionize and really simplify.
We both have strong connection to many medicine lineages, including the Quiero. In those teachings, the traditional people of the Andes Mountains, they talk about how dis-ease has its roots in the subtle imprints in the energetic field of the body. And so, of course, having that understanding of health and healing, we know that we need to work with those energetic, emotional, mental imprints as well as the physical. In our temple, which is one of the pieces of ReGenesis, the sacred sanctuary where we bring ancient shamanic wisdom traditions and modern transformative therapies to converge to create profound healing experiences. And this includes yoga and meditation practices, includes breath and sound journeys, relational somatic therapy, psychedelic assisted therapy, sacred plant medicine ceremonies to support people in transmuting dense energies and accessing those multidimensional states of consciousness.